What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 8 of Talking Dogs Podcast. I just want to give a big, huge thanks to all of my subscribers that come in and listen to this and come in and watch my videos. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. You guys have pushed the channel directly in the direction that it's going. I'm very extremely close to getting shops unlocked on YouTube, so I will have t-shirts and I'll have merch available underneath the YouTube videos very soon. Another thing here is, for those of you that are just getting here, feel free to look around the channel, check me out, check out some of the content, listen to some of the podcast, and hit that subscribe button. I want to hit 1,000. I think hitting 1,000 would be an awesome goal, and it's very doable with the help of everybody coming in. If you would just hit that subscribe button, I am at about a 60% unsubscribed watch rate. So 60% of the people that are watching are not subscribed. So please, please, please hit that subscribe button if you're stopping in and checking out the stuff. And I want to encourage anybody and everybody that has been on the channel, that has watched videos, that has listened to podcasts, and taken any bit of the information that I have and applied it and got some results. I would love to hear that. I would love for you guys to get in the comments or shoot me an email or get on Facebook and let me know that, I've helped you along and what video did that. I would really like to have that information. That would be great. And, maybe we can just keep on going the way that we're going. And we're going to be, all set and good to go. So, a couple of things here that we're going to talk about on today's podcast. Number one, there is quite a few different questions that subscribers have left and wanted to have in the podcast. Okay, so number one, Jacob Fryer, you left a couple, and I'm going to address a couple of those. Okay, so number one is going to be the difference in training between a male and a female dog. Okay, so when we get down into it, I think the issue isn't male versus female. I think it's the personality types that we get out of the females and that we get out of the males. They're not. You can get either any of these personality types across males and females, but I think the ones that tend to show up in the females more tend to be the sensitive, shy, that kind. The timid dogs tend to really show up in the females from my experience. Now, I'm not speaking, for everybody's dog or all female dogs, but my experience, the more shy, sensitive, the more timid, extremely smart, okay, so smart to a problematic level a lot of the times. And what I mean by that is, okay, so if we're going to run a drag for a dog, the female dog will figure out much, much quicker that the goal is to go bark on the tree, right? So what you end up getting per se would be when you run a drag for a dog, well, they go right to the tree. They don't run any track. They're just smart enough and figure it out. So you can't really use the same tree too many times. You can't really, praise in the same exact way too many times. You have to really mix it up quite a lot, because they're really quick to figure it out, and they're really quick to get ahead of you, and then that gives you problems. Now, the drag situation is just one little example what can happen, so we have our work cut out for us. And when we get a hold of these dogs, number one, these super smart dogs, these dogs that are really quick to figure you out, really quick to figure out your end game and your end goal. Okay, so them are the dogs that give you problems in training because they figure out what you're doing, and then they will decide. Then it's on them. Okay, I know what he wants. I know where he's going with this. I'll decide not to do this because I don't want to do that right now, right? So they're going to be more apt to blatantly stub up, blatantly be more against doing what you want them to do, right? So we really have to get on the side of winning them over, and getting them to do the things that we want the way that we want them, right? And when we want them. So that turns into a little bit of a headache, and it can turn into a little bit of a headache. I'm not saying it always is, because some of these dogs are super easy, no matter, male, female, what personality type they are. Some of the dogs are just super easy to do, but a lot of the times with the shy dogs and with the sensitive dogs, okay? So the sensitive dogs, they're going to be really quick to, you know, lose faith in you, really quick to lose trust in you, really quick to get their feelings hurt and stub up and just go, I don't really care what you got planned. You did this to me yesterday, and I'm not doing a dang thing that you want today. I've ran across this so many times, man. Some of the longest streaks of stubbornness that I've ever had in a dog came from a female dog that was a very, very sensitive dog, um, as far as emotionally, right? And, we can pay attention to these things or we can ignore these things. We can look over them and not really care or say they don't exist, but they do. They're there. These dogs, they have feelings. And the smarter dog will have feelings for a reason, if that makes sense. So they have a reasoning behind whatever animosity that they're building towards you or whatever stubbornness that they're trying to get back at you for. And if you think that these dogs do not do this, you are absolutely incorrect. They will absolutely do this, and it just depends on the dog. Some dogs get real vindictive about it, and they know what they've been in trouble for before, and they'll blatantly start doing the things that they got in trouble for prior just to get under your skin because for whatever the reason is, you've wronged them in their mind. Okay, and then the shyness, okay? So the shy dogs, the really shy and the really submissive dogs, is you get a lot of really submissive dogs in the females. Okay, I have witnessed with my own eyes guys take female dogs in the woods and they say, man, she just went over here and slammed a tree last night. Now this dog will not, for nothing, get from 2 feet in front of him just laying on their back with their belly up, right? Switch-ins will not go. You can't throw them off you. They'll get down there and they just lay down and they don't want to do nothing. And it is more of a, I'm not doing what you want me to. I'm going to disobey you, but I'm going to be so submissive that you can't really, take it out on me or make me do it. But that's kind of the wrong route to get a dog to go, in my opinion. But I've witnessed this happen, and I've witnessed this happen out of a female dog that I had also witnessed that would go in the woods and would tree up and would get treed with a coon. But all in all, for whatever the reason, that particular day, that particular time, the dog wasn't having any part of it. It wanted to, lay on the ground and go belly up to get pets or whatever, and would not leave. Okay. Now, I know there's probably a lot of guys out here listening to this right now that prefer training female dogs. And just to be flat out honest with you, I would prefer to train a male dog. That's my preference, is to train a male dog. It's a lot more hit or miss to come across these kind of behavior traits in these dogs. And I think that's why, all in all, people go ahead and go for the male to breed the male. There's nothing wrong with a good female, and if you're a guy that likes to train a good female, props to you. If you know any different from a little bit of what I've touched on, or you've seen better things, drop a comment and let me know. I'm not trying to blanket all the female dogs in any sense of the way, because I do know that there is female dogs out there that will go harder and will go faster and longer and tree more coons than a male dog. Just from being cut from a better cloth or being cut from a different cloth, whatever say you, there's kind of this really huge thing that we have to understand, that if we go to this podcast, we go to this video, we go to that podcast and this video, watch this channel and what this guy says, every single one of them guys could be 100% right about everything that they've said. But if you compare them to the next guy, it's complete contradiction to what he said. But what we're got to factor into this is we have to factor in the fact that dogs are individually different, right? And there's a broad variety of dogs. There's a broad variety of personalities and genetics and different traits and characteristics that we get in mentalities that we get within all of these dogs. And it's just like people, right? how you teach one person to do something, you have to teach another how to do it the same exact thing a totally different way. One guy could get it in a heartbeat, another guy needs 2-3 months to learn it, right? So it's kind of just like that. So the males versus the females, I think when we're training a female dog, my approach has always been is to be way more on the cautious side, shake things up a lot, don't let them figure you out. Try to stay ahead of them and try to keep it fresh because they're very, very quick to realize, oh, I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm not going to do it. And some will go, well, petting ain't enough, treats ain't enough. I'm kind of in that little predicament right now at the very moment with Tilly. Tilly is a female pup. She's 5 months old. She's treated a couple squirrels. Take her in the woods. Get her on a tree. Get her some tree work on her. She looks good there. Run from drags for her. She looks good there. Get her in the woods. She makes it to the tree. Just refuses to bark. Refuses to bark. Refuses to bark. So then I decide to take treats. Get her to bark on a couple trees. 4 treats, and then after a couple treats, she's just looking at me, and I know what she's thinking. I know what's running through her mind. Why am I barking if that squirrel you ain't getting that squirrel down for me? You're not doing what you're supposed to do. I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do, right? So it's kind of a battle of wits at this point, and she's got me over the fryer, right? She's got me over the hot plate because I can't get squirrels down to her right now, right? So she's going to win every single time. She's going to take that road, and if that's the road she continues to take, I'm defeated until a time to where I can get squirrels down to her. So that's kind of the boat that I'm in, and this is what I'm talking about. They get you into a pickle, right? They figure out exactly what it is that is going to halt the process, and they will do that. And this goes for male dogs too. Male dogs ain't so bad about it, but the female dogs will do that. The female dogs will figure a way out to loophole your process and put you over the burner. They just really will. If you guys have trained female dogs and you've had dogs like this and you've been around a couple different dogs and a couple different female dogs, this is something that is pretty well out there with them. In my book, in my opinion, I've owned quite a few female dogs, and in one way, shape, or form or the other, they have all been this way. But I'm not telling you guys not to grab females. I'm not telling you guys not to train on females. Female dogs make phenomenal dogs just the same as male dogs. I think that the approach and training has to be just a little bit more taken care of, a little bit more, thought through, a little bit more, cautions taken to prevent going down these kinds of roads, right? Okay, so that's going to wrap up the male versus female thing for now. If you have any more questions, just leave a comment. You know how I'll get right on here and I'll let you know, or I'll get back a hold of you and let you know. So another one here that he posted is going to be comp hunts, scratching dogs for squirrels and coons timbering out when they're treed up, when they leave the tree. All right, so I'll just immediately, first things first, I would encourage everybody, if you are a UKC registry, if you are NKC, NSD, any registry that's out there, it doesn't matter if your dog is registered and they host hunts for your dog. You need to get online, whether you hunt in the hunts or not. Whether it's very great information, it's a great way to gain knowledge. Is go to their website or go to Google and type in UKC night hunt rules, NKC night hunt rules, NSD night hunt rules, or squirrel hunt rules, or whatever applies to you, right? We need to get there. 9 times out of 10, they'll have a PDF that you can download. They'll have one that you can print off. They'll have it right on their website. You can read it right on their website. They'll have updates and different, things that they've done this year versus last year. Any of the pertinent information that you need will be right there. And then we're going to read. One thing, especially for the UKC rules, there is quite a lengthy bit of rules for the UKC. You can get pamphlets at hunts. They'll hand out pamphlets of rules. The UKC rules are definitely a set of rules that you would want to read through 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times, right? To just try to get the information processed, because it's kind of like they have such a thick plethora of rules. And if this happens, then refer to this rule that's in a different section, maybe except for in 5B, and then you got to go back and look in 5B to get the exception, things like that. And it's really easy to get the information mixed around. It's really easy to interpret information in a way that wasn't meant to be interpreted. Okay, so in my experience with the UKC and with the NKC, when I read through the rules, the way they read to me is, if it's timbered out, right, you're not going to get scratched if your dog comes off the tree, right? You'll get minused, right? And either one of them have their own amount of time limits, or whatever the little rule set is for how long they can be off the tree, how far, whatever the case may be. But the commonality between the both of them is that once the dog gets to the tree, it needs to stay treed there. If they come off the tree, they can possibly be minus points. And if I know one thing that I really liked about the squirrel hunts, and I can't speak on any other registry besides the NKC or the ones that I'm familiar with, is that if it's seen within, I believe, 60 feet, either in a tree, timbering, or on the ground, within 60 feet of the tree that your dog is treed on, you still get plus points for that, right? You don't get minus points or circle points, okay? On the night hunts, it's a little bit different, and I can't quote it exactly, but I believe that you will get slick tree, right? So a slick tree, I believe, is a minus. A circle tree would be no points taken away or no points awarded. And there's just all these different little things that go into this that will factor in. I don't think they factor towards getting scratched. Now, that's just for those two registries. I couldn't speak on the other registries. But again, if your dog is registered with that registry, take it upon yourself to get out there and get any pertinent information to any night hunts or squirrel hunts or whatever the case may be, and read those, right? And read them and read them and read them and read them again. I myself have probably read the NKC rules at this point just over the past 5 months. I've probably read them 15 times, and even reading them 15 times here or there, I still need refreshers. I still try to remember it all. I still go in there and read them and pull it back up and read it again and pull it back up and read it again. I'm trying to get my rules locked in. I want to be able to, know the rule book inside and out. And it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a process. And a lot of it is too, when we're sitting down or we're sitting at a computer and we're reading these rules, it's a lot harder to put them in order in our mind because we have no sequence of events playing out to apply them to, right? So getting out to the hunts, spectating hunts, that's what I did here a while back with the squirrel hunt. That's what I did, here last year with the coon hunts. Just getting out, read my rule books, and get out there and try to keep track of what's going on and see how I'm doing and how I'm holding up. Because at the end of the day, if we're going to be a comp hunter, or if we're going to put our dog into any comp hunts, we need to know our rule books, and we need to know how it plays out live action, right? How different things mean different stuff, and the way that we think stuff adds up might not be the same how it plays out, right? It could be exactly how we think it adds up, but then we get out there and we're missing a beat, and we're going, I'm kind of behind. I can't keep up because I'm just not registering my rules quick enough. I'm not registering what's going on quick enough. And, when I was on that coon hunt, I was trying to do this. And, these dogs were unbelievably quick at what they were doing. Do not get me wrong by any means. And things were happening very fast amongst the different guys going back and forth and calling their dogs and doing this and having questions for the judges and stuff, it is very, very difficult to keep up and stay in the loop and stay on top of what's happening. And then that's another thing here too, is you're allowed to ask questions, right? So if we're in a compound, we're allowed to ask questions. You can ask, you know, the judge questions or for clarification on certain rules. If they can't clarify it for you, they'll put it down and you'll have that clarification once you get done with the hunt or whatever the case may be. So there is some things that we can do to, help ourselves understand things. I'm not saying that you're wrong, right? I don't want you to think I'm saying that you're wrong. I'm saying, from my understanding and from my situation, I don't believe that dogs get scratched for leaving trees. That's just for those registries. It could be for other registries. So some other things here that I kind of want to talk about in the podcast. I'm kind of going off script or kind of off my notes because I've covered all my notes. I thought it would take quite a bit longer than it did, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to start peeling off in this direction here with this. If we're just getting into coon hunting, or we're not really sure what breed dogs that we want or what bloodline of dogs that we want, the best thing to do, I've said it 100 times, is, for one, get in Facebook groups, get on social media, figure it out there, see posts and see different guys saying different things about dogs, and kind of get a feel for what you like. And once we narrow it down to a breed, then we need to start finding people, right? We need to start finding people and getting out and going with those people. We don't even need a dog. This is probably the best advice that I could give anybody starting before purchasing a dog. Get out and go. Find some people to go with. Find some people that have dogs that you might be interested in, and get out and go hunting with them. And if we're new, we can kind of learn how things go. And don't just be blinded and hunt with one guy or one person. Get out and go with a multitude of people. Multitude of different people, different breeds, doing different things, because we need to be able to understand that when we limit ourselves to the amount of information that we take in, the amount of people that we hunt with, the amount of dogs that we get in the woods with, and the amount of guys that only do it one particular way, you're not learning the other ways. And what ends up happening 9 times out of 10 is what we'll do is we'll latch on to one other individual that has a dog, and we're all for it. We're backing them up. We want dogs out of the same blood. We want the same equipment. We're training like them. We are, on board with that. But there's nothing wrong with that if we're informed enough to make that decision. But if we are capping ourselves and we're blocking ourselves off from learning other ways, learning other blood, seeing other dogs, other equipment, other processes, we don't ever have a process onto our own. We don't have an ability to decide how we want to do things, what dogs we want to run, which way that we want to run them, and which way that we want to train them. Being informed and having information is king. I mean, that's in all aspects of life, and that's my personal opinion about that. But, the more knowledgeable you are about something in its entirety, the better off that you're going to be as a whole. And we can learn these tidbit informations, and we can learn these things along the way. But one thing that kind of takes the wind out of the sails, let's say we get a hold of somebody, they got a dog, we start running with them, and then we're all on board with them, we're doing the things they're doing, training the way that they're training, but we're locked in with this person, and let's say we're locked in for 5 years, right? Let's say we've done things their way, trained their way, ran blood that they got, and we're doing what they're doing, and then randomly 5 years down the line, we have all this time and all this money and all these dogs and all this stuff invested, and we have a certain process that we go through. When we hunt with somebody else, we go, well, I like what they're running better, I like what they got better, I like the way that they do things better. Well, we've wasted 5 years gathering things around to get going and going towards something that we don't necessarily ultimately want. Now, shifting gears and shifting what you do part of the way through, your coon hunting career, that's going to happen. And the last thing that we want to do is waste all our time and all our effort and all our money putting it towards something that ultimately isn't going to get us where we want to be, and we might not know where we want to be. Um, Another thing here too is kind of want to touch on is breeding dogs. Okay, so if we're going to breed dogs, we need to breed to better, right? At the end of the day, if our main goal is to get up there and our main goal is to, further on the breed, get better dogs, then we need to be paying attention to a lot of this stuff. We need to be breeding to get better results. And if we breed in such a way, we can get a dog that's tailor made for us. And that's kind of the goal for a lot of these guys is getting out here and breeding dogs to give them exactly what they like to see in the woods. And we can get close by going ahead and getting a hold of some of these dogs that other people have already line bred. Another little thing that I want to touch on here is kind of like our dreams and our goals when we start hunting, right? I know when I started hunting, I was gung ho, man. I was gonna have the best comp hunt dog in the world. I was gonna win thousands and thousands of dollars in hunts. I was gonna be a professional handler. I was gonna get the job done. I was gonna be nitty gritty. I was gonna be in there, and I was gonna be unstoppable. And having that mindset on my shoulders as such a young kid, um, one thing that it did is it made me take the sport so serious. And along with the seriousness came being so strict and so, you know, unwilling to budge on my mindset when it came to my dogs and how they were performing and what they needed to be doing. And I was so strict about it. And ultimately, that crashed a lot of things down for me, and that burned a lot of dogs down. That cost a lot of dogs. But being that serious and transferring that seriousness over into the dogs and into the woods, that is a huge undertaking. That is such a big process, and you are going to be under the pressure. You're going to be under a bunch of stress, and your dogs are going to be under the pressure, and they're going to be under the stress because they're going to be feeling it too. When you get out in the woods, and I'm taking every footstep that dog takes is serious. You mess up, you foul up. I'm not happy about it. And being that way, sure, that's a way to do things, but it won't take you very far for very long, right? That's one thing that I learned the hard way. We have to understand that things don't happen right now. Things don't happen this month. They might not even happen this year for our dogs. And that's one thing that I was unwilling to accept on any level from any dog. And that ultimately just kind of backfired a lot of things on my face and learned things the hard way. We can still have those goals and that ambition and that want to get there and have these good dogs and get in the woods and just be an awesome handler and win hunts and have that as basically a full-time job, or have people pay us to handle and things like that. That's definitely still something that's on your list, man. It's just kind of like it's hard when you get into the game and you're kind of off by yourself. You're kind of learning things the absolute hard way, which I recommend doing that. Learn things the hard way. There's not a whole lot of things that you can do the easy way and get away with it because you just, like I was saying earlier, is knowledge is key. It's important to understand all aspects of things, and learning things the hard way will definitely give you that when we're talking about training dogs. And understanding with a entirety is what you really need to train a good dog, to keep a good dog going, to keep a good dog in the woods, to get out there and get in the hunts and win and things like that. And at the end of the day, it's just coon hunting and it's just dog running. And a lot of the times, anymore, since I've been through the ringer so many times on dogs, and I've really just mellowed out. I really just mellowed out to the point to where, yeah, if they don't go today, they'll go tomorrow. Or I'm not so strict on a dog. I'm actually complete opposite. I'm You want to fool around today, you can just get put up. I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm not going to take it out on you. I'm not going to do none of this. You're going to do it when you want to do it, and that's kind of that. And I've accepted that fact and sucked that up and dealt with it. And all in all, I've gotten better results in the end. I've had a way better time doing it. I've had a way better time training dogs. I've had a way better time in the woods, and I just takes the pressure off. And sometimes here or there, I'll say, okay, well, now it's time to crack down. Now it's time to get serious, and I'll get things done, and I'll get things out of the dogs that I want to be getting at that time, and then it works out. But you need to kind of know when to lay off, and you need to kind of know when to apply the pressure. This kind of was talked about a little bit about building momentum and things like that. But all in all, just getting out and having a good time and running dogs and being in the woods with people you like to be in the woods with, being in the woods with dogs that you like to be in the woods with, is just going to net you so much better in the long run. For guys that just don't really care to get any comp hunting done, don't really care about a dog having papers or whether they're bred, just, have a good old time running a good grade dog, just go right ahead. That's an awesome path to take too. Ultimately, all the weight of all the stresses of anybody, having anything to say about what you got going on is just gone, right? Oh, you're running that dog out of that blood, I don't like you. Oh, you're running this dog, it's that color, I don't like you. Oh, you're hunting over there at that hunt, I don't like you. You get a lot of that. And you get a lot of other guys picking with you. Sometimes it's lighthearted stuff. Other times it's kind of like, man, I wish this guy would just really lay off. You want to talk bad about this, you want to talk bad about that. Like, can I get a little bit of positive moment going on? That happens. It's rough out there sometimes, and other times it's a breeze. Can't get too caught up on the definitives and, the chopping block. Yeah, that's one thing that I was big on is the chopping block, right? So you don't make this cut, you're gone. You don't make this cut, you're gone. You don't make this cut, you're gone. And I've put a lot of really, really, really good dogs on the chopping block and just said, oh, you're gone, and gave them away. I've gave away great dogs. I've gave away, dogs that probably could have went a lot of places, could have did a lot of things, could have been something in the world, and because of me and my own strictness and my own foolishness, I would say, just said, you know what, here you go, take him. Yeah, he done fed me up. I'm done with it. I heard that's one thing that I really felt when they said it over there in that podcast, at the Stark podcast, is when I'm done with one, I'm done. I'm kind of the same way. I'm done fooling with it. I'm done fooling with it. And I kind of prevent myself from trying to do too much with a dog too often to try to prevent myself from getting burned out, because, I got a limit on how long I'm going to deal with stuff, and they got a limit on how long they're going to deal with me. And, you got to have a dog that clicks. You got to have a dog that you understand. You got to have a dog that, gets along with you good. And you got to have a dog that is on the same page with you, because at the end of the day, if we have a dog that's reading out of a different book, we're going to have nothing but problems. If we have a dog that we can't see eye to eye with, we're going to have nothing but issues. And the issues can get severe, right? They get out of hand really, really quick. But you guys, thanks for tuning in to episode 8 of Talking Dogs Podcast. I greatly, greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this whole thing. And if you guys are still sticking around here, please get down here and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to use promo code Melbrook5 at dogtra.com for 5% off a Dogtra product, $200 or more. And keep an eye out for shops. Them are going to be up on YouTube, I'm hoping, within the month. And share me around. Let people know about me. I want to get this channel growed up. Let's hit that 1,000 sub mark and do something good for everybody. Keep them treed.